Recording in progress.
Just wait for the signal, I guess. There you go.
Good evening. I'm calling to order the City Council regular business meeting for Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, thank you. Christine Brown, City Clerk. Please state for the record if you are present after I call your name. Deputy Mayor Quitsland.
Present.
Councilmember Deeds.
Present.
Councilmember Fantwer Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Moriwaki.
Present.
Councilmember Schneider.
Present.
Thank you.
And our Mayor, Ashley Matthews, is absent, waiting to testify in connection with legislation in Olympia. So she will be here later in the evening. So I'm taking her place as Deputy Mayor, John Quitsland. We'll next have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. Oh, there she is.
Well, you keep going. So.
Very good. Here.
Now I'm waiting for this.
Yeah.
You keep going. And then
All right.
Oh, there's.
Our next routine, the land acknowledgement. Every part of this soil is sacred in the estimation of my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some sad or happy event in days long vanished. Those are the words attributed to Chief Seattle, 1854. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is within the ancestral territory of the people of clear salt water, the Suquamish people, expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers. The Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea as they have for thousands of years. Here the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda? Councilmember Moriwaki.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Quitson. I move approval of tonight's business meeting agenda as presented.
second.
Moved by Councilmember Moriwaki, seconded by Councilmember Fantwer Johnson. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Are there any conflicts of interest to disclose?
Nope.
Seeing none. We're joined here by our city manager, Blair King, and the city attorney, Jim Haney, and others from the city administration. Yes. City clerk and deputy city manager, Ellen Schroer. I'll let the mayor take the presentations.
Oh.
Yes?
Thank you so much, Deputy Mayor. Hi, everyone. Okay, so next we are at presentations. So first up, we're going to present a proclamation declaring March 31st as Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day of Service and Learning. Okay, and I'll read the proclamation. A proclamation by the City Council of the City of Bainbridge Island, Washington, declaring March 31st, 2025 as Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day of Service and Learning. Whereas Cesar Estrada Chavez was born on March 31st, 1927, on a small family ranch near Yuma, Arizona, into a Mexican-American family. After serving our nation in World War II, Cesar Chavez returned to farm labor in California and began advocating for farm workers' rights. On April 23, 1993, Cesar Chavez passed away, leaving behind an enduring legacy of service and leadership. And whereas Dolores Huerta was born on April 10, 1930 in Dawson, a small mining town in New Mexico, into a Mexican-American family, and spent most of her life in the Central Valley of California, where she found her passion for fighting for the rights of workers and their families, and helped pioneer a transformative farm labor movement that carries on to this day through the Dolores Huerta Foundation. And whereas in 1962, Huerta joined forces with Chavez to establish the National Farm Workers Association, dedicated to organizing farm workers for better working conditions. The organization was a predecessor of the UFW, United Farm Workers, which they later founded in partnership with Filipino-American farm workers and activists, Larry Itliong, Philip Veracruz, and other labor leaders and activists. Under Chavez's tireless leadership, the UFW was the first to win collective bargaining rights for farm workers. A skillful lobbyist and negotiator, Huerta played a central role in many of the movement's successes, including an international boycott of grapes that led to the first farm worker union contracts and the Watershed California Agricultural Labor Relations Act of 1975. And whereas the UFW's collective bargaining agreement significantly improved the quality of life for farm workers throughout the United States and continue to impact workers' lives today, as well as hold significant meaning for Chicano and Filipino communities on Bainbridge Island. And whereas in 1994, Cesar Chavez was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States. And whereas Dolores Huerta's lifelong pursuit of justice has earned her many accolades over the years. In 1993, Huerta became the first Latina inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. She received the Eleanor Roosevelt Human Rights Award in 1998, was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2012, and inducted into the California Hall of Fame in 2013. She continues to spread her message and share her story. Now, therefore, I, Ashley Matthews, Mayor of the City of Bainbridge Island, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim that the 31st day of March shall be known as Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Day of Service and Learning, in order to reflect on and honor the lives of those distinguished leaders and celebrate their impactful contributions to the labor, civil rights, and women's movements, and urge all Bainbridge Island residents to take inspiration from their example. Thank you.
Sign.
Yes, and I will sign it, and
We are presenting to Jim Seemuller, Bainbridge High School teacher, Dashiell Tibbles, a high school student, and Adriana Vasquez Yaco, Ordway Elementary School teacher. Yeah.
Sorry. City of Bainbridge, thank you so much for inviting me, because as a Hispanic woman, you have no idea what I feel right now. I have been a long time follower of Cesar Chavez, and especially Dolores Huerta life work and achievements. They are my inspiration, okay? And I think it's important for me to teach my fourth graders about them, because I want to inspire them. I want to inspire them when I teach them about their life and their work, and I want to inspire them with 3 ideas. The first one is the power of your voice. Speak out for what you need and what you think is right. The second one is think critically about the world around you. Question the inequalities you see. And the third one, and this is the one I hold in my heart, is this positive message of hope and possibility, that everything can be achieved. Doesn't matter how hard it looks, how difficult it appears. Sí se puede. And that translates as yes, it can be done. Yes, it's possible. So all of you, remember, when you are going through a hard time, sí se puede. Gracias.
All right, and I just wanted to share the message that I'm going to share with my students. So my name's James C. Mueller. I'm a social studies teacher at Bainbridge High School. I've been teaching at the high school for about 18 years now, and one of the classes I've been teaching is American Studies. And Dashiell's a student in this class just last year. He's a senior, but as a junior, he was in my class last year. And so this was just the message that I was going to share with my classes on the actual day. So today we gather to acknowledge the remarkable legacy of two individuals who have shaped the course of our nation's history, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. The proclamation of a day of service and learning in their honor is not only a recognition of their personal sacrifices, but also an acknowledgement of the powerful social change that they ignited. Chavez and Huerta dedicated their lives to fighting for the rights and dignity of farm workers. Through their tireless advocacy, they brought national attention to the plight of those who labor in the fields, often under grueling and unfair conditions. Their nonviolent approach, their call for justice, and their commitment to equality paved the way for future generations of activists and labor leaders. By proclaiming this day for Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, our city honors not only their incredible contributions, but also the broader struggle for justice, equality, and human rights. It sends a powerful message that we stand in solidarity with the marginalized and acknowledge the importance of unity and collective action. And I think that it serves as a reminder that change is possible when we come together and fight for what is right. So I'm honored to be a representative of the Social Studies Department of Bainbridge High School, but it's the students of the high school who work to make this happen, including Calvin Culver, who couldn't be here today, and Dashiell Tibbles, who's here and you're going to hear from soon. It's students like these, they're the ones who inspire me every day. And so this day is not just about remembering the past, it's about continuing the work that they began. It reflects the very essence of our community's commitment to fairness and equity for all, regardless of background or status. In honoring Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, we not only pay tribute to their legacy, but we reaffirm our collective responsibility to work towards a more just and inclusive society. And my hope is that we can take inspiration from their example and continue their work to change lives for the better in our community and beyond. So, and after hearing the mayor read off all the accomplishments of those two, I feel lazy now. I feel I need to start doing more with my life. So I'm inspired already. So thank you very much.
So it's going to be hard to follow up those two great speeches, but I'll try my best. Thank you all again for having me after last year. It was great last year, and it's great to be here again. And so when I was thinking about speaking here today, I wanted to say a few words, and I thought about going over their accomplishments again, but I knew it was going to be in the proclamation, and I knew I kind of talked about that last year. So I wanted to talk about something that you couldn't find on Google, because I know it's so easy to Google anything now. So I wanted to talk about something you couldn't find there. So my great-grandfather came to this country in the 1920s from Mexico. And during that time, the rich got richer, the poor got poorer on worse levels than ever before in America. And the Gilded Age, the shine and sparkle of it, just kind of hid a lot of that from most people until the Depression hit. And so my great-grandfather, he came here and he worked in the fields in California, and that's where he would meet my great-grandmother. And together they'd eventually have a child. And although the child did survive being born, he would die only a few hours later. And you could blame that on inadequate housing because they lived in a shack on the property, right? You could blame that on inhumane temperatures or a lack of access to health care. But the truth is there's only really one word you need to encompass all the issues that led to his death, and that's farm worker. My great-grandparents worked hard. My great-grandfather, he fought in the Pacific for America, and then when he came back, he worked 14-hour shifts on beck and call to go anywhere, to do anything he could just to earn a little bit of money to keep his family going. And my great-grandmother worked as a single mother, all alone in the world, keeping up social appearances and raising their children to get alone. And it paid off. My grandmother became the first person in her family to go to college, and my mother was able to not just to go to college once, but twice when she went back to become a teacher. And I'm lucky to live here on Bainbridge now today. And the truth is, my family is an exception, not a standard. It's incredibly hard to do what my family did, and it's infinitely harder now in today's world. But farm workers have a better chance now, luckily, because of the work of Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. And they filled a gap to help others achieve what my family did. And while that alone is good enough to honor them, there's another equally important reason to remember them on the 31st. Cesar Chavez and Luis Huerta built a movement, an idea that's brought dignity and justice to a profession and continued to advocate for the Latino community's representation in America as a whole. But that all started as a dream of just two people with almost nothing, bet everything on a dream. And that dream not only succeeded, but it did a lot of good for the world and for people in this country. And in this divided time where a lot of people are scared and the world can feel like it's falling apart, and a lot of people can just feel helpless and like there's nothing you can do, it's important to remember what can actually happen. If two people can build a movement that fights an agricultural industry entrenched from decades of political corruption, hordes of wealth and immense resources, and actually win, then all of us can make something worthwhile, can make the world around us or just our community on this island even just a little bit better. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to present a proclamation for Nirito Nayoni, Let It Not Happen Again Day. Councilmember Moriwaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. A proclamation by the City Council of the City of Bainbridge Island, Washington, declaring March 30th, 2025 as Nirito Nayoni Let It Not Happen Again Day, marking 83 years of healing. Whereas 83 years ago, on February 19th, 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, which authorized the removal of anyone of Japanese ancestry from the entire west coast of the United States. And whereas the first exclusion area designated was Bainbridge Island. And whereas on March 24th of that year, the Bainbridge Island Japanese American community were notified that they would be forced from their homes in 6 days to be sent to an unknown destination, and whereas on March 30th, 1942, 227 Bainbridge Islanders of Japanese American descent were herded aboard the ferry Colocan on their way to concentration camps in California and ultimately Minidoka, Idaho. And whereas on that day, 227 of our friends and neighbors were the first of thousands of Japanese Americans forced to abandon their homes and belongings and to live under guard at camps scattered throughout the United States due to the baseless racist fears that they were not loyal first and foremost to the United States of America. And whereas, under a nationwide fog of fear, war hysteria, and prejudice, our community stood by their Japanese American friends and neighbors, notably Bainbridge Review publishers Walt and Millie Woodward, who consistently opposed the unconstitutional actions of our government. And whereas, after World War II, over half of our exiled islanders returned to Bainbridge Island, where they were welcomed and resumed their lives as valued members of the Bainbridge Island community. And whereas the Bainbridge Island Japanese American community and other concerned residents decided to create a memorial to the exclusion experience on Bainbridge Island. And whereas the Bainbridge Island Japanese American Exclusion Memorial is a National Park Service satellite site of the Minidoka, Idaho National Historic Site and built on the very road where 227 men, women, and children took their last steps of freedom. And whereas the mission of the Japanese American Exclusion Memorial is Nirito Nayoni, Let It Not Happen Again, which serves as both an aspiration and a call to action. And whereas, much like post-Pearl Harbor, today we live in an atmosphere of manufactured fear and hysteria, creating a toxic cloud of bigotry, prejudice, assault, and death, and feeding the racial strife that daily threatens marginalized communities, thus threatening liberty and justice for all. And whereas we who live on Bainbridge Island are called to speak to this issue, we have lived the scars of the Japanese American exclusion for many years. We have not forgotten, and we insist that this history will not repeat itself. And whereas on March 30th, 2025 marks the 83rd anniversary of the forced removal and exclusion of Japanese Americans from Bainbridge Island, and on that day, the Bainbridge Island Japanese American community will hold a commemoration ceremony with the theme, A Place to Call Home. Now, therefore, on behalf of Ashley Matthews, Mayor of the City of Bainbridge Island, and on behalf of my City Council, do hereby proclaim March 30th, 2025 as Nirito Nayoni, Let It Not Happen Again Day in the City of Bainbridge Island and urge all islanders to join us on this special observance. And to receive this will be the president of the Bainbridge Island Japanese American Community, Carol Wrights, and other board members of that organization.
I'm Carol Wrights, and first of all, I appreciate the fact that you doing what seems to be a very easy, normal thing to do, whereas these days one cannot and we don't take for granted these types of proclamations. I think you know what I'm talking about. And I also love the fact that these two proclamations always take place together, the Cesar Chavez and ours, because both have its base in the farming community. Rotary International believes that peace is possible, and they have 8 pillars in which they believe if we can work on those, we can achieve positive peace. And the thing that both of our groups are addressing is the pillar of equitable distribution of resources, which is the ability to access resources such as education, health, clean water, employment, and justice in your community without worrying about how your identity will make it difficult to obtain. So thanks again. Hope to see you tomorrow night at the movie and on March 30th.
Thank you. Next, we're on to public comment. In-person public comment is accepted at this time on any topic of public interest. Each commenter will have 3 minutes, or such amount as the meeting chair determines to speak. Public comment is not taken on individual agenda items during the meeting. For items scheduled for a public hearing, comment is accepted from an individual only one time, either during public comment or during the hearing. Okay, let's see who we have for public comment. I couldn't see her. Thanks, Christine. Perfect. Okay, first we have Colleen Miko.
Good evening. I'm Colleen Miko, manager of Bremerton Kitsap Access Television. BCAT is the public access channel for the city of Bainbridge Island, Kitsap County, and other cities. I'm here to provide an update on how we serve the community in 2024 and share our successes that are on this handout here. Most know BCAT from our service contract with the city of Bainbridge Island to provide live video coverage of this and other meetings. A shout out to Mike, our crew member behind the scenes tonight. BCAT covers 14 different regular meetings for 9 different agencies. In 2024, we recorded and aired 247 meetings, and 48 of those were COBE. Government meetings were 53% of our new program airtime on the channel. We also provide a unique non-commercial venue for the public to express their passions and opinions on television, and 40% of our new content was created independently by community producers who submitted 597 programs to air on BCAT just last year alone. We appreciate that Shannon Hayes often provides us videos, such as the recent piece on Bainbridge Island as a bicycle-friendly destination. BCAT original programming, created in-house by our staff, was 8% of our new content. We spotlight positive hyperlocal stories not covered elsewhere in the media, like the Battle Point Astronomical Association and the Bainbridge Island Museum of Art. We assist citizens and nonprofits in getting what's important to them on BCAT, even if they lack the technical expertise or the equipment. And we do that through our membership program and our production studio near the Kitsap Fairgrounds. The county and cities each appoint representatives to serve on the BCAT Community Advisory Committee, which provides feedback and gets the word out about BCAT services. And we are grateful to those volunteers that you've appointed to that committee. There are many ways to access BCAT content. You can watch BCAT on Comcast Channel 12, Astound Channel 3. You can live stream from bcat.org. And video on demand for all the government meetings that we cover can be found at bcat.org, indexed so that citizens can skip directly to the agenda items that they find most important to them each week. BCAT's YouTube channel is available anytime, and of course we're available on Facebook. I am always excited to provide a more detailed briefing regarding how BCAT and the city partner to provide community television to the citizens of Bainbridge Island. Thank you for your support and your collaboration with BCAT, as well as your time and attention tonight.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Oh, sorry, Councilmember Milwaukee.
Could I request that the person who keeps us up here might come out and show his face so we can thank him for his work? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Milwaukee. Next, Bruce Wyland.
Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak. I'd like to just comment really briefly on something that I hope will be on the next meeting's agenda. I think you've all seen the memo from John Quitzlin that was appended to the back of the agenda package asking that to be set on the next week's agenda. And I want to just suggest that that is a vitally important item that should be front and center next meeting. It has to do with affordable housing overlay zones. As you know, the city is struggling, and the Planning Commission is struggling with dealing with this 600-page DEIS proposal, which at its core is essentially proposing to upzone the entire area of Winslow with buildings that potentially could be 4, 5, and 6 stories high. That means those tall buildings could be built under their proposal in the DEIS from Waterfront Park all the way up to High School Road. Now, I hope no one actually is planning to put that into place. It just, with all due respect to the staff, it sounds insane. It is not needed for the population allocation. It supposedly is only for the purpose of affordable housing. In other words, the only reason we have to upzone anything, according to the DEIS, is to encourage affordable housing. The problem is there's nothing to suggest that that will actually be a result. Even inclusionary zoning, at its best, will only add a few hundred affordable housing units rather than the 1,300 target. So I was so delighted when John Quitzlin and some other folks encountered this concept of affordable housing overlay zones. And I think there is an article I think it's called MSRC, and I would like to take, if you don't mind, I will email it to all of you that explains what the affordable housing zones are. Bottom line is, it's a way to target upzoning only on parcels which become 100% affordable. It's not just a layer on the top. And so you will, by using these affordable housing zones, if you find them to make credible, you will not have the mass zoning update. You will not be overburdening the aquifer. You will not be blowing a giant hole in your 20-year infrastructure capital improvement budget. And you will not be ripping out the quality and the livability of Winslow, but you will have the best shot at getting affordable housing. So I know this is a future agenda, but please focus on it as really critical, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, Janelle Pereira. I like your R's.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Janelle Pereira. I'm on Bluff Lane. City Council, city staff, folks here in the chambers, and anyone joining on Zoom. As your neighbor, I am here to invite you to the Hands Off March and Rally taking place Saturday, April 5th, from noon until 2 o'clock. The march will start from Waypoint at the intersection of 305 and Winslow Way and head downtown. More details to follow in the coming week. Please watch for flyers or go to Hands Off Bainbridge Island. Hands Off is a national event currently in 600 plus towns and cities in every state and growing. This event is to help all of us take back what is being stolen: our rights, our services, jobs, our education, LGBTQ plus rights, healthcare, protection of our environment, our safety nets, our freedoms, our privacy, our data, funding, grants, research, innovations, immigrants, our voting rights, domestic and global security, our choices, our histories, our ethnicities, our faiths, our national parks, our future, and our hope. Please join this community event. Bring your families and friends, neighbors and strangers, colleagues, and your voices. Create signs and please walk with us. It is time to speak out and take action for what is ours, for the greater good of our community and for the greater good of our country, for we, the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak who's in here? Okay. And then we have two remote. We have Melanie and then Malcolm. Sorry, Melanie Keenan and then Malcolm Gander.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Hello, my name is Melanie Keenan. I am a licensed geologist, hydrogeologist, volunteering on the Environmental Technical Advisory Committee. A few other dedicated citizens have been providing review and input for over 6 years on the long-awaited groundwater management plan and groundwater model update as part of the subcommittee. I have contacted a few council members to let you know 4 new highly qualified citizens have applied for ETAC and a 5th one will apply this week. This is good news for the community. I appreciate Ashley and Clarence calling me back so we can move ahead and work to reconvene the committee meetings as the public was under the impression this was already occurring. Unfortunately, the committee's monthly meetings have been canceled by staff and the city manager for over 6 months for many reasons. Kobe does not have a hydrogeologist or staff.
You're breaking up a little bit.
On that last paragraph, I'm sorry, I'm in the car.
Yeah, I can tell where you are on the boat.
This is why the city hired EA consultants to do the DEIS and finish the groundwater management plan and model update. Just on the Planning Commission. Meetings will help meet public stakeholder input requirements for the groundwater management update. This will help build confidence in the community by having several qualified experts to review documents that have environmental scientific importance for the future of Bainbridge Island. With Council's help, we can move this in the right direction before the draft groundwater management plan and model update are released. I also want to stress the importance for peer review of the groundwater management plan and model update. The previous USGS groundwater modeling and reporting went through rigorous peer review before being published. This is a standard practice in many scientific disciplines. Also, I want to remind Council to schedule the required stakeholder input for the groundwater management plan as outlined in the consultant's scope of work previously approved by Council. Thank you for your efforts to protect our limited environmental resources in accordance with the Growth Management Act. Have a nice meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Malcolm Gander. Hi, Malcolm.
Hi. Malcolm Gander, Rolling Bay. I wanted to talk for a second about the groundwater management plan, but what I want to focus on is having a public island-wide meeting once the draft groundwater management plan is released around April 18th. The city hired a consultant, EA, to do the groundwater management plan, and one of the line items in their scope of work is to have a public island-wide meeting where citizens can listen to a presentation on the findings from the meeting and listen to management strategies and talk about existing conditions of the water supply and what we can do and how we can prioritize managing the resource properly. As it stands now, there's a groundwater management plan subcommittee, ETAC members, utility advisory committee members, and climate change members, 2 each. And they're going to be able to weigh in about the draft groundwater management plan twice for 2 meetings. And then similarly, there's a technical advisory committee that has a representative from Kitsap Public Health District, Suquamish Amish tribe and Washington. But there's a gap here. We need to include informed, non-technical people from the island. Melanie Keenan has been convening some water resource public meetings. We had over
Oh, you're breaking up so much, Malcolm.
attended a couple weeks ago, and there's increasing interest in the groundwater management plan, and it's incumbent on the city. And I'm going to be talking to city council members about this. Please.
If you have your testimony in writing, would you mind sending it to us just so we can, I think I get what you were saying. I can fill in the gaps, but just in case. Okay. Thank you, Malcolm. Okay. Thank you. With that, we're going to close public comment. Okay. Next up, we are at our consent agenda. Councilmember Moriwaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Second, okay. Approval made by Councilmember Moriwaki, seconded by Deputy Mayor Quitzlin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Our consent agenda is approved. Next, council announcements. Does anyone have an announcement? Councilmember Moriwaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. I don't recognize this place because last night there were a bunch of tables around here. I'm going to let my colleague talk about it, and Councilmember Quitzlin was there as well. A nice workshop. Today was my last meeting with the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance, and it was a Zoom meeting. Thank goodness. I would have never made it here. And tomorrow, I think a lot of us are going to their economic forecast luncheon held at the Clearwater Casino. And you already heard the proclamation for March 30th. If I just have a few moments. March 27th is a big historic day that isn't talked about a lot because 83 years ago, that was the opening season for the Bainbridge High School baseball team. And it was going to be their last game. And there were several stars on that team. Isamu Suimatsu, who was a catcher, Morio Teriyama was a pitcher, Paolo Taki and Harry Koba were outfielders. And they were great players, but he kept them in. There was the coach, Walt Pop Miller, kept them in for the whole game because this is going to be their last game. And they were so tense and nervous. Well, they didn't know what their future was, but they didn't want to fail. They wanted to win it for the team. And so they didn't perform as they did. They used to be the best hitters and the best catchers, and they didn't hit. They were having errors, and coach kept them in. They lost 15-2. But what that said about our community was volumes. They could have lost by 100-1. It still would have been a great game. Mm-hmm. That's what this community is about.
Thank you. I like that. Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to just comment a bit about last night as well. But it actually started for me before I got here. So I'm walking down Madison the way I normally do, getting to City Hall, and someone comes out of their front door along Madison and starts walking with me, but not with me, just sort of coincidentally with me, right? And then after a while, you just had to say something, and turns out she was going to the same place I was. And it was just really wonderful having a chance to, and I suspected it too. Somehow I just knew that she was going to be here in the same place. So anyway, last night was, I think, a very effective open house. It was about merging the original island-wide transportation plan with the sustainable transportation plan that council bought off on a few years ago. And what it's primarily doing is updating our the way that we define our facility types and our safety and so forth. And it turns out that all of that was in the sustainable transportation plan, and then the state caught up with us, and now it's required. And I didn't even know that. I didn't know that a lot of what we were doing in merging these documents had actually become a requirement of the state, but we were there first. Anyway, I was very proud of our staff and happy to see everyone that showed up. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dietz.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for going to that last night. I'm sorry, I missed it, but this is the report that came out, and it's an excellent document. I recommend the community to take a look at it. Staff is to be commended for putting this together, so excellent work. As for myself, let's see, yes, tomorrow we have the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance Economic Forecast Luncheon, and I think, was it Councilmember Moriwaki is going to be there, and Mayor will be there, and I'm not sure who else is going to be there. But anyway, it's a pretty, yeah, you're going to be, well, city manager, oh yeah,
Yep.
City manager will be, yeah, of course. Anyway, a good event, sort of an annual gathering of in those in Kitsap, talk about economics. And then just last week, the mayor, myself, and the deputy mayor, we met with our counterparts in City of Poulsbo, at City Hall in Poulsbo, and just talk about common issues that impact both cities. As you can expect, we all are subject to, the traffic, the housing, all these issues. So it's just a way of us sharing information, insights. So it's it's a quarterly meeting that we gather. So I just wanted to mention we did that. And that is it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I'll just mention a couple of things. Thursday last week, I was the liaison from the council to the Utility Advisory Committee. I've mentioned this before. That's a hardworking committee. They're working on completion of a rate study for the water utilities and also bringing up to date the utilities element of the comprehensive plan. This will be made public once the draft is completed, but it's being worked upon by this committee and in other respects. That work is going forward. We'll hear more about it in due time from the planning director. Just to add a little footnote, my pleasure in participating in yesterday evening's public engagement for the mobility plan, I was able to meet two high school students who are interns at the city. And it's a great opportunity for students. It's a great opportunity for the city to use those talents and give students a chance to see their government and to contribute in various ways to the functioning of the various elements of city government. I look forward to more of the same, and those students are really shining examples.
Thank you. Councilmember Moriwaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. Just want to give to Director Sharnas a shout out to Hannah. I forget her last name, but I found out last night that she wrote this island-wide mobility plan, and it is exceptionally well done. I thought it was a consultant that did it. I mean, it's really good. And I know how long those reports take. So please give a big shout out and our thanks.
Thank you. Let's see, what did I do last week? Main thing that I can remember from last week that stuck out was Saturday I moderated a town hall that was held at Bainbridge High School. It was completely full, standing room only, and I have to say I came away so proud of our community. We've all been seeing things on the news, town halls nationally where folks are just screaming and yelling. There were lots of issues to get through, and our community showed up, asked questions, but was respectful, and it was just, I left inspired that we can actually come together and make some good things happen, and proud to represent this community. Afterwards, they went and did the same town hall in Bremerton, and at that town hall, protesters showed up, just as we had them too in signs, but came and were completely disrespectful, went to the rep's home, and so it's just boundaries, and we're all here trying to represent you, but all these things are happening to us too. So we're all human, we're all doing the best we can, and let's fight for each other. That's it.
one final point.
Oh, sure. Councilmember Milwaukee.
I understand she's in the executive department, so I should give the shout out to our city manager. And also, I was honored to kick off the new mural that's downtown. It's right, and it's a place called The Cove, and a woman named Molly Brommer has been working on this, and it's exceptional. And I'm telling you, it's going to be the new selfie thing for people. It's really great. So please go see it.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Milwaukee. And with that, let's go on to our city manager's report.
I have no report for the council, but I do want to acknowledge and thank the council for publicly acknowledging various members of our team. You provided several mentions of various staff members at the last council meeting from the dais. I give out stickers, and so at the last meeting we gave out stickers if you got a shout out a positive way from the dais, and we'll make sure that we extend a sticker for Wednesday as well for Hannah Borcher.
I love that. We're going to make you run out of stickers. That's the new goal. Okay, on to regular business. First, item 8A, receive monthly update on the Winslow Sub-Area Plan and Comprehensive Plan updates.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As the council knows that we are scheduling these items on a regular basis for the council so that we can try to increase the level of communication and understanding of the status of the development of the comprehensive plan and the Winslow sub-area plan. It also is a way to provide an opportunity for feedback from the council from time to time. Our planning director is going to report on some of the progress that is being made. We have concerns internally in City Hall about the pace of play, but we are very pleased that some at least interim recommendations, they're not fully yet developed for council consideration, are coming forward, and that's what we want to explain, that this is a status report. This isn't necessarily a presentation for recommendations, but merely a status report of the work that's being done at the Planning Commission.
Thank you very much, City Manager. Good evening, City Council. Patty Charnas, Planning and Community Development. And as City Manager mentioned, this is part of an ongoing program to give you monthly updates of the Planning Commission's work on the Winslow Sub-Area Plan and Comprehensive Plan. Next slide, please. So far, the Planning Commission has met either during regular business meetings or some advertised special meetings 7 times. At the beginning of the year, staff did provide a package of some proposals to begin that conversation, and it included a proposed schedule. A lot of work and discussion has occurred, and the good news is that it's my pleasure to present some preliminary results tonight of their hard work. As always, we encourage City Council to tune in to the meetings or watch the videos of those meetings because while they're long, they're really substantive, and I've complimented the Planning Commission before. It shows that they're really hard at work, working together. Next slide, please. So first, it's our pleasure to share a proposed working outer boundary for the Winslow sub-area. This is not too far off of the staff recommended outer boundary, save for a couple of differences. One, to the northeast, there are properties that the Planning Commission included now, as of now, because again, they emphasize that this is a working boundary so that they can continue their work on the zoning districts within and then come with a final package later on. So again, to describe some of the differences are the properties to the northeast that are currently outside of the sewer service area, additional properties to the west of Sportsman Club Road, and additional residential properties to the west connecting to Finch Road. This is, great that this is their first level of work. And it meant a lot to them to emphasize that this is a working boundary. Next slide, please. But importantly, Planning Commissioner Peter Schaub is able to share his device during public Planning Commission meetings using the ability to overlay on high-quality, recent, high-resolution Google Earth images. This really helps orient the public and the Planning Commission alike to geographic locations and other important orientations that you don't necessarily get on a zoning map. So this is an example of that working outer boundary of the Winslow sub-area. Next slide. Their first work includes a working outer boundary of the high school road zone. And again, this is how it would appear on a zoning map. Next slide, please. But at lower altitude, again, high quality, high resolution Google Earth imagery, you can see now with more specificity where the Planning Commission recommends the high school road zone be. Again, they'd like to, it's not that far off from the staff draft either. And this constituted a lot of robust discussion as well. And we want to thank the council liaisons that tune in or are present during these Planning Commission meetings. I know it's very supported. Next slide, please. So our final thing to display and be really, really happy about is a proposed working outer boundary of the ferry zone. This took a lot of discussion. Next slide, please. But again, you get a better sense when it's overlaid on real imagery. This was produced along with some motions that I'd like to come back to the City Council with next monthly update. But it's worth mentioning that there was a motion to recommend consideration of a master plan for the ferry zone in this district. Last slide, please. So again, during the April monthly update, I'd like to bring any and all results that occur between then and now, and also a comprehensive list of the motions that they have passed so that we can discuss them in more depth. It's important to note that the first quarter of 2025 is now behind us this week, and staff is preparing to take the outcomes of the Planning Commission's work to help develop with the Planning Commission goals and policies for the Winslow Sub-Area Plan and work on other elements of the comprehensive plan. The motions that I'll bring to you, and probably they'll be added to in this month of meetings, represent ideas and other items that the Planning Commission wishes to formalize in a motion, but helps aid them in the conduct of their work. So there is a motion in the packet that just ask the City Council to positively affirm the Planning Commission's work to date. Thank you very much, and of course, I look forward to coming back next month.
Thank you so much, Director Charnas. Okay, and I want to note that Councilmember Hytopoulos is not here, and I know she would really want to be part of this discussion if we were getting too deep. So maybe just what we're feeling, but not like anything that we're making decisions on or motions. Does that make sense? Okay. I didn't see who was first, so we'll just start. Councilmember Schneider, and then Deputy Mayor, and then Councilmember Dietz.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I want to go deep a little bit.
Okay, a little bit, but I don't want her to be mad at us.
We don't have very many opportunities, you know, and this is maybe not so much about, you know, what the Planning Commission has done, although I have to say I really appreciate the deep work that they've done on those boundaries. And I've been staring at them quite a lot and flipping back and forth between different views on Google Maps and everything. So I am highly supportive of the work that they've done that we're being shown. What I wanted to just say, so we had some public comment earlier, and we've had a lot of public comment over time, and I just want to share with my colleagues and certainly with Councilmember Hytopoulos, you know, when she's back and all that, some kind of new thoughts about what we want. So there's a lot of, I'm going to just call it consternation about market rate housing. So we all know that we have a certain amount of work to be done on getting affordable housing, and it's going to take a lot of subsidy. And so I'm not commenting on that right now. It's good work. It's work that we plan to do. But I think where where the consternation is about how much market rate capacity do we create within Winslow. And so first of all, I guess this is an ask of my colleagues to maybe ask planning, but how much of this middle income housing do we need to support a middle class on Bainbridge Island? Because as there's a fair amount of affordable housing, quote unquote affordable housing out in the 0.4 because people bought, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But they're going to move, they're going to pass on their whatever, and then that home that was affordable is going to jump up to an extraordinarily high market rate. And so we are going to be moving towards, ever more pricing out of the middle class. And we will have some affordable housing when we can get our subsidies together. So I did a lot of work on Sunday. I have a spreadsheet in front of me right now, and I went through and I looked at all of the listings online that were kind of within the guidelines of what we would consider middle class, and therefore, not necessarily anything that we would try to subsidize, but possibly what we would try to incentivize to create more of. So, and then another idea, so point number one is we need to have a target number. We need to say, if we want to have balance in our community, what do we need to create in terms of market rate housing, and just be willing to be bold on that. And yeah, it's going to frustrate some people who don't want to see change or think that it's going to ruin, our downtown. And I believe that we can preserve the beauty of our downtown. So that's one, is we need a number to target. And then another one is that we need buildings that can afford elevators and structured parking. The townhomes that we've seen built up, like up and down Madison, are skinny little 2-3 story homes, and they don't have elevators. They're less expensive to build that way. And then we don't have, then they're not really good homes for people who are aging in place. And they're not even really good homes for families if you have to trot up and down the stairs all the time taking care of young kids. So we need to provide the zoning for multifamily housing that can be big enough to afford elevators and structured parking. Because if you're going to fill the space out, then we don't really want to have huge parking lots taking up open space. That's a terrible use of our downtown. So anyway, I wanted to just sort of put that out there as some goals for us to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor? Yep.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Schneider has gotten us started in, and we've had discussions, real discussions in recent meetings. I want to continue that. Getting the questions out there, getting the issues that need to be addressed out there. I want to emphasize how tentative all of the work has been and will continue to be as we move closer and closer to completion of the Winslow Sub-Area Plan as a document. It's still a ways off, and we have other work to do on the sub-area, on the land use element of the comprehensive plan and the housing element. That lies ahead for more work for the Planning Commission, and I think the council has ways of not intervening, but contributing to communication. And our planning staff has a large role that's kind of in the background, but needs to come forward in dialogue and constructive problem solving. I really am eager to hear more from planning staff, the senior staff, and a group of very thoughtful and even visionary members of our staff, because I do hear from citizens sometimes, you can't trust this person or that body or the, et cetera. We've got to overcome the levels of misunderstanding and kind of suspicion by simply coming out with ideas that do meet community needs and don't create the worst case scenario. We're trying to avoid, we're trying to sidetrack all of the worst case imaginings that that are really part of our culture and need to be dealt with. So I'm going to move the recommended motion to affirm the Planning Commission recommended working outer boundary for the Winslow sub-area and to affirm the Planning Commission recommendation boundary for the High School Road and Ferry zoning districts.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. It was made by Deputy Mayor Quitsland, seconded by Councilmember Morawaki. So we still have some discussion, so
Yes,
I'll come back to
yes.
you.
I'll speak just very briefly to say these are pieces. There are more pieces to come to complete this pattern of zoning districts. And the Planning Commission, I think, they've cast a wide net for ideas and approaches to this process, and they're developing the momentum and the clearer and clearer understanding of the best things for our pattern. And this was set in motion by a recommended set of recommendations from the planning staff. Recommendations give rise to discussion, decision, or refined recommendations, and it's all still moving and unsettled at this point. But yeah.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Councilmember Dietz.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone, for your comments. And I was going to make the motion, but you beat me to it. That was good. Let me see. I did, first off, I wanted to commend the commissioner. I didn't catch his name. Peter. Here, I'll grab the deputy mayor. He prints these out.
Yeah.
This is sort of my night for showing things. But great overlays. It's amazing how just a visual like that just makes things so much easier. So excellent work. So where are we at? I take Councilmember Schneider. She's asking the right questions, and I can't help but feel that part of the work that we are doing with this comp plan update is, of course, attributable to the Growth Management Act, but also in particular the countywide planning policies which we adopted, which includes, that was our quote number for, you would say, market rate homes. So that's already been baked in. We already agreed and voted on that. That is through our countywide planning policies. So then we have the House Bill 1220, which has the affordable housing element, which is caused, it's much more difficult to try and do affordable housing as if we're all gathering because it has to be subsidized. So this is why we're putting so much focus on the affordable housing. The rest of it, which is under the countywide planning policy agreement that we did, to me, that is part of the plan. That our plan will incorporate those numbers. So I'm very happy to hear what Councilmember Schneider has to say, but in my mind, we're already doing that. That is, it's not something that we're not acknowledging, if you will. So anyway, great work. Progress is being made. It's slow, but everything takes time. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dietz. Councilmember Morawaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. So Councilmember Quitsland took your motion away, and you kind of took away what I wanted to say, Councilmember Dietz. But I'll amplify it in a different way. His name was, what was his name again? Peter
Commissioner Schaub.
You know, again, thank him for his very clever idea and actually seeing the photographic stuff. I don't know if the city manager gives stickers out to volunteers, but I think he's certainly worthy. And I'm making a comment because the images, we look at R2, R5, and they're just numbers, and people don't know what even that means, you know, units break or whatnot. But when you see it and you go, oh, yeah, those are apartment buildings, or those are, you know, commercial buildings. Oh, I get it. And I want to compliment also the process. It looks very logical. Looks like they thought about it. Current land uses are complementary. So these boundaries are, I think, very well thought out, and I really appreciate their work.
Thank you, Councilmember Murwaki. I'm pretty much going to echo everything my colleagues have said. As someone who I've listened, either been here or sits in on the meetings, I can tell they're doing an immense amount of work. I get it, it's sometimes if you think about timing, you can get a little worried, but and I often feel like somebody who's like not in truth, but like I'm listening to a party or at a party that I'm like, I don't know, but it's because there's so much going on and you almost don't want to interrupt them. And sometimes I get where HB or Patty are like, okay, like you're going. So I just want to commend you for working so well to balance it all out. Because I get on one hand, it's like, don't give them all the information, let them come up with it. And then we're like, staff, give them information. We don't want you them to get, so it's like, what do we want you to do? I get that. And so you are doing the perfect thing, which is just rolling with trying to do the best. So thank you. Thank you to the Planning Commission. Not only Peter Shaw, but Ben Dines, Commissioner Dines, Commissioner Prudhomme, they all have sort of stepped outside of this box. I think Commissioner Prudhomme might have started it with the screen sharing, but then it's just become something really helpful. And it's like, we expect it. It's so helpful that when they are not doing it, I'm like, wait, I can't see where their boundaries are. So just really want to thank them for their work. We, in our Pollsville meeting the other day, had a chance to ask if they had turned theirs in yet. They have not. And so they're still working at it. We'll still working at it. I see progress being made. We have a motion. So I'm really excited about that. I also wanted to take a moment to recognize Speaker and Representative Frank Chopp, who passed away this weekend. Yes. And he was someone who we had talked about our affordable housing projects with. He was actually there the first time that I interacted with Low Income Housing Institute, and I know he was really excited about our project. So just wanted everyone to think of him and his family, and we'll be thinking of him as we get this affordable housing done. So thank you. And we have a vote to do. So all those in favor? Aye. Aye. And any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
So, Mayor, I just want to mention, thank you for the motion and the vote. As you know, the council governs by consent, order, and decree. In other words, the motion becomes the most important thing. And as people articulate comments, it is helpful. On April 22nd will be the next time an item regarding the comprehensive plan and Winslow Suburb Plan will be before you. Based upon the comments that I'm hearing from the council, we will try to structure that in such a way to allow the council to make motions to see if collective action from the council would like to be made. Because again, as I hear individual comments without motions, I think there is the opportunity then for the council to maybe make motions in what it would like to proceed with regard to these important documents in tandem.
Thank you so much, City Manager. I'm hearing them too. I think we're about ready, just wouldn't want to proceed without Councilmember Hytopoulos on that. Okay, next we are on to consider ordinance related to unlisted land uses, also planning.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I am again going to ask the planning director to come forward, but want to remind the council that this item came up back in April when the council was considering the methodology that's employed in our municipal code of how land uses that are not called out specifically are treated. The general intention was to perhaps move away from a process which relies heavily upon the determination of paid staff to more of an involvement from the policymakers, whether it be the appointed people on the planning commission from the city council or eventually the city council itself. That is a direction which I endorse. We are now bringing back to you, based upon that initial April 2024 discussion, and we're almost a year later, a draft of an ordinance which, again, would shift the way in which we treat or handle land uses that are not explicitly called out in our zoning standards and how we would use them. The planning director will make the presentation. I would like to point out that the action before the council this evening is to take this draft ordinance, if it's acceptable to you, and forward that on to the Planning Commission for their review and recommendation back to you for eventual action. And with that, with the Planning Director.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. Again, Patty Charnas, Planning and Community Development. City Council, before you tonight for your consideration and action is an ordinance relating to unlisted land uses. As the City Manager described, about a year ago, the City Council, staff, and the Planning Commission were working on an unlisted use related to crematoria. Next slide, please. So as a review, uses refer to the zoning use table, and land uses and activities are listed under each zoning district as either permitted, meaning they go through a permitting process that doesn't really have a lot of public, but there is some awareness, but there isn't as much process as conditionally permitted, which is another kind of listing of a use that has more process to it, or the use is listed as prohibited, not allowed in that zoning district. Next slide, please. If you recall, last year about this time, I gave some examples of uses that don't easily fit into our zoning use table, like small passenger helicopter manufacturing, a mink farm, and laser or paintball park. So it's important to note that unlisted uses are currently described in our zoning code and to a certain degree in our procedures code is being given a permitting path solely by the planning director and only after there is a decision document, which is a little odd. And so staff has been working on this off and on over the time frame. Next slide, please. And before you tonight is an ordinance that acknowledges the challenges of unlisted uses and proposes changes to the city's procedures ordinance, Title II, and provides some amendments to the zoning code, Title 18. Next slide, please. So what it does generally is it creates a new process by which a person applies for a determination of a use that has been that does not relate to or is existing on the use table. So we would require somebody to go through a process, much like a permit. So this would be a separate kind of permit type where they would apply for an unlisted use determination. They would supply a narrative describing the use, where it is being proposed, and importantly, give us an analysis of in the applicant's words, of the compatibility of the use with other listed uses in the location and in the vicinity. That packet would then go to the Planning Commission, which is providing more public awareness of the unlisted use and the process. The Planning Commission would take this up at one of their public meetings, and they would hear an applicant give a presentation about the use and about those other determining decision criteria, and would arrive at findings of fact and a conclusion, and importantly, a determination of whether it is to be added to the zoning table as a permitted or conditionally permitted use, or that needs to be recommended as prohibited. What we're recommending at this point is that that determination be forwarded to the director, who transmits that to the applicant, and importantly, if they proceed to want to go through the process, the permitting process, now that their unlisted use has been given a determination that gives them a sense of going to a permitting process, that determination and all of the justification would be part of the application package, not necessarily the part of the decision, so that there's even more public commenting opportunity. So it's a new process. I know City Manager mentioned that maybe there's a desire to have City Council make these determinations. However, right now it's proposed at the Planning Commission level. So next slide, please. There is a motion in your packet to ask the Planning Commission to take this topic up, to hold a public hearing and come up back with a recommendation on the process. Last slide, please. So thank you for your consideration of this request. I look forward to hearing your discussion.
Thank you, Director. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take the step recommended to place the package on the table, and I do have some suggestions for, I think, clarification of the language in a couple of places. I move to direct the Planning Commission to hold a public hearing on the proposal to amend Bainbridge Island Municipal Code Section 18.09.005 and Section 2.16 relating to unlisted uses.
Oh, a second.
And okay, and I'd like to speak to this briefly, just because a few amendments may improve the language. On page 1 of the ordinance, and I, for the public, I communicated these things in a message to council because it's a little cumbersome and you don't understand in advance what's being suggested. But these amendments are what I would suggest. Changing a date on page 1 of the ordinance. Simply, there was a March 19th should be March 25th, this date. That's a no-brainer, I would say. The only really substantial change that I would make is with reference to the language on page 2 of the ordinance. When the department receives a land use or building permit application for an unlisted use, such application shall be returned, etc. I think that creates that focuses on one of several possibilities, and I would suggest this language instead. A permit for an unlisted use may require, as a prerequisite, application for an unlisted use determination pursuant to Municipal Code 2.16.230. That's language very close. It doesn't change the intent at all, but just describes a reference in that language to the prerequisite status of the use determination. And then the language on page 3 and a little bit of page 4 that describes the procedures to be followed in creating this unlisted use determination. All of that is clear enough, I think. I do believe that at the bottom of page 2, the description of applicability slips a little bit, referring to a permit when in fact it is an unlisted use determination. So I would strike the word permit on page 2 of the document that you have in the packet. Are these amendments appealing to anyone else?
Look,
and Director, do you feel these are appropriate changes?
Maybe ask.
Yeah. Again, through the yes, we don't want to engage staff directly without. Okay. Thank you. We've reviewed these, and I think that they would be. My recommendation is that you make a motion to make the amendments that are presented here, and then vote on the whether you want to transmit this to the Planning Commission for their consideration.
Yeah.
We had a motion, right, that was made and seconded. We need to amend it, but before we do, let's actually hear from Councilmember Marwaki, and then we'll go for it.
Yeah, I really don't like unlisted land uses. I think it's a good idea, but I'm going to oppose the motion because I feel that our colleague Kristen Hitopoulos should have a chance to look at this and also weigh in. She's also very versed in the code. I mean, I know if I was absent from this meeting and then this was done and I didn't weigh in, I'd feel kind of shut it out. So if we can postpone it until she returns, that's what would be my feeling. I'd encourage a withdrawal of the motion, but if it does go forward, I will vote no just on that reason, to allow one of our colleagues to also weigh in. And you're adding amendments, which is kind of on the fly, so that even adds more weight to my consideration.
Thank you, Councilmember Moriwaki. I support that. If I don't, yeah. So do we need to? We can vote on the motion that's on the table.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Councilmember Francois Johnson.
There's no time limit on this. Like, we don't need to do this today, do we?
I don't think
that's to the
support of making that we want to consider and make the change for unlisted uses.
Okay.
I think we just need wordsmithing and.
We'll withdraw it until.
Yeah.
So we could entertain a motion to table.
It would be recommended that you make a motion to move this to further consideration to the April 22nd meeting.
So moved.
I'll simply withdraw the motion with that purpose in mind. That's fine. I think we can decide what form to give to the motion, give to the text when it comes back.
Yes. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So we needed a second. I've moved that. Okay.
Yeah.
Seconded by Councilmember Dietz.
Yeah, I'll second, of course. Thank you.
Thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Moriwaki. Next is determine selection panel members for the process to recommend appointments to the Planning Commission.
Yeah, Mayor, this is pretty self-evident for the council's consideration.
Perfect. So we need two volunteers to join myself and Councilmember Quitzlin on the selection panel. Do I have any volunteers?
I think it's just one.
Oh, sorry about that. One. Because we have two there. Okay, so one person. Do we have any volunteers?
Sure. Go for it. I'd be happy to join you.
Okay, so Councilmember Moriwaki. So I move to appoint Councilmember Moriwaki to join Mayor Matthews and Council Liaison Quitzland on the selection panel for upcoming appointment process for the Planning Commission. Okay, so motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any opposed? Councilmember Francois Johnson, did you have anything? No. Okay. Okay. I wanted to make sure I did. Okay. Oh. Thank you. Okay, next we are going to determine selection panel members for the process to recommend appointments to the Ethics Board.
How many do we need?
Again, Mayor, pretty self-evident. There is no liaison to the Ethics Board, so the custom has been for two council members along with the mayor.
So we need two volunteers for ethics.
I'd really be happy to join this.
Great. Okay, Councilmember Moriwaki. Bueller. Okay. Former Ethics Board member. Thank you, Councilmember Dietz. Okay. I move to appoint Councilmember Moriwaki and Councilmember Dietz to serve with Mayor Matthews on the selection panel for the upcoming appointment process to the Ethics Board.
Second.
Perfect. Motion made and seconded by Deputy Mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay. Next is, to designate one council member to serve on the selection jury for the 2025-26 something new? Yes, jury for something new public art rotation.
I nominate Councilmember Francois Johnson, if she wants it.
Oh, thank you, Councilmember Francois Johnson. I move to appoint Councilmember Francois Johnson to represent the city of Bainbridge Island on the selection jury for the 2025-26 something new public art rotation.
Second.
Awesome. So, motion made and seconded by Councilmember Dietz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next is All right, we're on to communications. Affirm council support for signing the Puget Sound Regional Council's letter relating to fix our ferries. Oh, okay, I know why this one was on. So just more than 3 of us signed the letter, which makes it a quorum, so we do need to just get full council support for more than 3 of us signing this letter. It is our legislative priority, so in line with all of our things. Okay. Let me see if there's a motion in here.
I can make them.
Okay, thanks. Councilmember Dietz.
I move to affirm council support for signing the Puget Sound Regional Council's letters relating to fixing the ferries.
Fair. Second.
Thanks, Councilmember Dietz and Councilmember Morawaki. Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for that. All right, next we're going to consider a request from Deputy Mayor Quitzland to add a discussion on a proposed motion relating to affordable housing overlay zoning ordinance in the Winslow sub-area to future council agenda. This is just to discuss to put it on the
future
agenda, a future agenda,
Yes.
and this was what Bruce Weiland was referring to as well.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, Councilmember or Deputy Mayor.
Yeah. I'll simply make the motion to move to direct the city manager to ask the planning director to work with the planning commission and consultants on a, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of things. I'm sorry. No, to just simply to place this on the April 8th agenda for our next business meeting.
Second.
Yeah.
And just to clarify for the public, this is talking about an affordable housing overlay for a future discussion, not to be discussed tonight, but at a future meeting.
Yes.
All right. We're just agreeing to discuss. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Was there a motion?
It just got made.
Yep. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we're just going to have a little, just 2-second discussion. We did get an email expressing some concerns that this might make the Planning Commission feel like we are usurping or getting in the way of their work. And so I wanted to just say that's not our intent in any way. And if anyone feels that way on the commission, please let us know. But all those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that passes unanimously. And with that, I believe we are adjourned. Okay.
Good meeting.